Welcome to the Awaken Badass podcast. I am your hostess, Tish Gentili, and I help female entrepreneurs to not just multiply their income, but to achieve really big fantasy goals and, more importantly, to transform every area of their life. In this episode, we're going to talk about how do we set healthy boundaries in our life and in our business. We're going to talk about codependency. And I'm going to share some patterns that I see with the women that I coach and in my own personal life, that when you change it, you completely change how you feel about yourself and the world and your business. So when we have codependency, let's talk about that. What is codependency? Codependency is, I have the definition here, is where a person needs the other person who in turn really needs to be needed. And basically what that is there's the giver and then there is the taker in the relationship. And codependency is a really interesting thing. You get codependent when you have a parent that either is overprotective or underprotective. And in my case, my mom, I was raised by a single mom, and she was very liberal, very free. And I would say a bit on the, like she was definitely the opposite of being overprotective, which had many gifts for me because I'm very independent, but I also didn't always feel cared for. And this is one of the ways, and I'm not a psychologist, so I want to preface that with the fact that coaching, although it may be similar to psychology, it isn't, but I see some of the things that bleed over into each other, right? Coaching and therapy. Now, one of the things that I see in women in their business is that they have weak boundaries with their relationships with other people. I was actually having a conversation with a friend about this, and we were talking about those clients where she was calling them energy vampires. And that term is being used a lot, energy vampires. And I don't like to use that term so much, but I get it that it helps people to understand. But it's just certain relationships in your business where that client may want to suck the life out of you. You give and give and give, and they keep taking and taking, and they want more and more and more, to a point where it's not healthy, to a point where you're working many more hours than what you charged. You're available 24/7, and it's never enough. So that is what we're talking about here. And that's what the discussion that her and I had was, that sort of situation. Now, in coaching especially, we love to be nurturing. We love to give. We want to help other people. And I love to do that. But what we were talking about is there's this fine line between giving so it feels good and you're doing what the Bible says, treat others as you would like to be treated and all of those kinds of things. But then there's that fine line where it can go into codependency, where you're giving to the detriment of your own self. You're giving too much and not charging for it. You're giving and it feels icky, right? It doesn't feel good. That's what I'm talking about here. And I love to give. I'm the type of friend, my friends know this, if they need me, I would drop everything in a second and go help them. But we're talking about the unhealthy portion of this here. So it's giving to the detriment of your own well-being. And when I was researching this a little bit more, there are some signs that you can look for. One of them is giving to your own detriment, people pleasing, doing things because you want to please others, but it doesn't feel good on the inside, is one of the signs of codependency. So the other one is a lack of healthy boundaries, like we talked about. I recently have been helping a client who had to establish very strong boundaries with toxic family members. We were talking about this, if she goes to a party that she doesn't feel like it and makes her feel bad for her partner, or if she is putting up with things that don't feel good to her, but she's doing it to please others, and it really is going against her soul. Now that's what we're talking about, codependency. And I was so proud of her because she was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And I was like, woohoo, that is awesome. I love the work that I do because it so empowers people. So it's a lack of healthy boundaries, people pleasing. And here's one that I used to have. I used to get my sense of worth by being needed by other people. And this happened and expressed itself in friendships. It expressed itself in relationships with my family, raising my son. And I don't have that anymore, because when we get our sense of self-worth from anything on the outside, and it's not coming from inside out, it's coming from outside in, now we're out of our power. Now we've lost the game of life. We never want to need anything from the outside for our sense of self-worth. That is something that we as humans, that's our journey, is to develop our sense of self-worth by being with ourselves, by understanding ourselves, and so forth. So it's very profound when you understand this, because it's very freeing. When I said it's life-changing, it is life-changing, because it's going to free you from being needy. It's going to free you from deriving your happiness from somebody else. This happens in partnerships, especially where, one person gives, the other one takes. And it's just not a healthy balance. So anyway, here's another one. Helping others makes them feel important. And a lot of, service-based kind of nursing, coaching kind of professions do attract codependent types of personalities, right? In my past life, I was a dental hygienist. Sometimes I still do, subbing for dental hygiene. And that is something that I'm aware of, even, going back and thinking about when I was a healthcare worker, over giving in my job, staying late, those sorts of things, being aware of that. So how do we establish healthy boundaries? How do we become giving without being codependent? Number one, you want to ask yourself, where does this pattern show up in my life often? Where do I give to my own detriment, where it feels icky, doesn't feel good? Where is it that I don't have healthy energetic boundaries, psychological boundaries? And then course correct that. Start to say no. Recently, I had a situation where somebody that I was coaching, we were finished with the coaching program, and I kept giving and giving and giving. And at some point, you have to say, no, I'm not I can give you more, but here's the fees for my time, because your time is very precious. So check in with yourself. It's an awareness, go through these. Where am I giving too much? Go through the signs. You can Google it. Now I'm going to leave you with a resource so this doesn't get very long. There is a powerful book called Codependent No More. I think her name is Melody Beattie. I'm not pronouncing it correctly. And it's free on YouTube. So listen to that book. It will change your life. It will change your relationships. It will change everything in your business. It's so fun when you don't worry about people's opinions anymore. It's so fun when you have the freedom to say no when something doesn't light you up. It's so fun When you know who you are and you have those strong energetic boundaries, and we're all like rocket ships going to the moon, right? We're course correcting all the time. This is part of that course correction. And I thought I would just come on and give you a little bit of inspiration around that. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. And I will see you in or be with you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.